everyone, and this is my mom.
Hi.
Her name is Seema. Basically, I told you guys on my story the other day that I'm going to be making a video with her because when I went through the job process in the fall, I found something that was very difficult was essentially negotiating my pay. I think especially for women, we kind of are held to these weird standards and we are not taught the skill, actually men or women, we're not really taught the skill of negotiating our pay, anchoring, positioning, stuff like that. So I thought that I could make a video with my mom who helped coach me through that process.
Okay, hi everybody. I work in the pharmaceutical industry. I've been working in the industry for over 25 years. Before that, I did the same type of work as a project director at McGill University and University of Montreal, in Montreal, Quebec. So most of my experience has been in the healthcare field.
Okay, so these are questions that you guys had sent in. So I'm just kind of reading off.
So my answer to that is that usually when they ask me what my expectation is, I usually tell them, well, what do you expect to pay? And then, so basically I throw it back at them. Then I also ask them, do they have a particular budget that they have to stick to for this head count? And then I also ask them, once they say, okay, if they say that this is the X amount that we expect to pay, then I said, well, then I would say that, okay, so considering that I have X experience or that I have X capability, and considering some of my other qualifications, would you expect to pay me a little more than that? So that's kind of how I would handle that question. So I would turn that into a general question to them. So what I would say is that, at the manager level, what is the average salary for your manager? Is there a range that you use? And then I would go up, I'd go associate manager or a director, senior director, and so on. You don't have to go much higher than that because I think we're talking mostly about entry level positions. And then I would also ask them that, what benchmarks do they use for their salary averages and also for their range, and how do they compare with other companies? That is really dependent on your performance, and also if you were hired to do a particular job, if there's a change in your job structure, if there's an addition to your let's say tasks that you were first hired to do. But I would start talking about it at 6 months, and then by 1 year I would expect some sort of a raise. I would continue to talk about my performance at my one-on-ones with my manager. Usually you have those once a month or at least once a quarter, to make sure that's in the background. And then, usually at 1 year at the performance review, I would definitely bring it up about what I would be expecting. Usually the pay raise is between 2 and 3%. Now, if you have done something really remarkable, or if you've done much, let's say exceeded your expected goals, then you can probably ask for more than 2 to 3% raise. You need to acquire internships. So as you get into university, or even before you get into university, try to intern at different companies. And if you don't get internships, they're not always paid. You can try and get unpaid internships, and also volunteer during every single year, during every single summer.
So what if we want to get internships, but due to lack of network, because maybe our parents are not in this kind of professional field or whatever field we're in, how do you suggest getting those internships? Because often when we're applying for internships, it's kind of like a black hole of submitting your application.
Yeah, so you can ask your friends to see if they know anybody, ask your parents and their friends, and also your career or guidance counselors at your universities. I know I found work through that, and also there's always work on campus as well, right? So if you're a biology major, you can try and do TA in the biology lab. And I know that you can do that if you've done, let's say, year 1. In year 2, you can try and get a TA-ship during the year. It wouldn't just be in the summer, but that would be something you do in the year. But that would give you some sort of an experience. If you know that you want to do something healthcare business related, then while you're doing your degree in healthcare, you should definitely take some courses in business. So I would recommend courses in business, healthcare management, administration, marketing, or anything, any kind of ethics course or course showing value of health, I think that would be helpful. That would, you would start to sort of chart your future in that way. Yeah, so I asked you to explain this to me a little bit because I wasn't familiar with that. But look, if you've gone to school, you have the education, you have, some capability, some experience, you should be confident in your workplace. And you should be confident in your performance. Okay, so it's possible, I've hired somebody from a consulting firm into pharma. So we know that consulting firms, if you work at consulting firms, you don't make as much money. The pay scale is very different from pharma. Let's say you work in academia. The pay scale there also is very different. So the company that you're being hired into, the people already know that. They should already know that. And because of that, they should already know that there's going to be sort of a leap in your pay when you come to work at this new company. So this might be a discussion you might have to have if the person is unaware of it. And you should always remind them of your capability and experience and the fact that, you were working in this company, you loved your work, but there were some things that were not meeting your expectations, such as your salary. And that's one of the reasons you're leaving.
Yeah.
Make sure that you've interned throughout your university career. It's really important to intern every summer. And like I said, you can even try to get some TA-ships along the way. But it's important to get some sort of experience, either internships or volunteer. Something is definitely important.
And this is just a side note, but I mean, if you still can't get anything, since I'm in marketing, people still regarded things like my blog as experience. So being maybe a little bit entrepreneurial about it, and you can even start like a health blog or whatever field you're in, you could do something like that, and people would probably be really impressed to see that. And it's starting from my dad just distracted me. It's starting from like a place where even if there's no resources for you, you can kind of make do with what you can.
Right, and also nonprofits, right? You can always volunteer at nonprofits.
Yeah, especially if you're in science, you can do something more health related in the nonprofit world and stuff like that.
You can always start with something like, thank you for clarifying the offer or providing all the details of the offer. However, my expectation was X. For instance, you can say, I was expecting to get maybe 10K more, or, I was expecting to get a sign-on bonus, that sort of thing. Just be polite. At times, you might be talking to somebody and they'll say, well, I'll give you X amount. And then you can say, well, no, that's my rate is $200 more than that. It's $400 per hour. And then they'll say, well, where did you come up with that rate? And then you say, well, based on my capabilities and other people I know working in this area, that's what the rate is. Usually job descriptions will outline the benefits, but you can definitely ask about benefits anytime to your HR contact.
Again, to be like a little bit situational, because I think in theory these things are really easy to say, but what if the recruiter is on the phone and saying, okay, so for this role we have allotted $50,000 annually for your salary. We've allotted $50,000 annually for your salary. What would you respond to that?
So let's say if I didn't want 50 and I wanted 55.
Yeah.
So I would say, okay, thank you for that offer, but I was really expecting 55, considering that I have a master's in, public health, or I've interned at X place. I really feel that, this is the salary that I deserve. So you should just have to say it very politely and
get it back to them. Would you consider 55,000?
So what I would say is I would tell them, could you go back and see if you can get me 55, because that would make me happy. I would be comfortable with that, and it would be the best scenario for me. So you can say, I can wait. If it's going to take you a day or two to go back and find this out, I can wait. I'm willing to wait because it's important enough for me.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can use your internships, your volunteer, any organizations that you're part of. You can use your capabilities. You can use even the school you've gone to. If you've traveled across the world or done work in different countries, the languages that you speak, the computer programs that you know, all of these things you can use.
Okay, this was funny, so I thought I would put it in there. I don't know why someone sent this in. Who would you want to play you in a movie of your life? Just choose.
If Sean can play me in a movie of my life.
But
Yes.
why would you want to not tell a recruiter how much you want to earn?
Because you always want to know what they're thinking first. That's been my kind of motto in life. You always want to pick their brain about what this, what the salary is for this job, and also always with someone like you, with your experience, with your capabilities, what should you be getting?
Mhm.
It's part of their job to tell you that. Like I said before, there's usually a list of benefits that are fixed. But there's certain things that you can negotiate. For instance, commute, yes, is one. Another thing I've negotiated in the past is vacation. So if they offer 2 weeks, you can say I want 3 weeks or 4 weeks. That's usually negotiable.
How do you do that?
Get a list of the benefits and you go, oh, I noticed that you give only 2 weeks. You give 2 weeks vacation, but I was thinking that that I was getting 3 weeks in my past job, or I was if you weren't getting that, you can say I was thinking that 3 weeks would be a better sort of, I'd be more comfortable with 3 weeks. Okay. That's how you would do that.
Like some of the phrases that you can use are, I would feel more comfortable. I believe that this is what my qualifications
have earned me.
Okay.
To,
market rate,
yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah, market rate, benchmark,
rate,
all of those things.
Benchmark, standard.
Just be respectful when you get an interview, and you can get a feel of, what they feel about you, what they're thinking about you. During the interview, you can get all of that. So at that point, you're in a good position. How do you know what you deserve? Well, by your qualification, by your experience. You can check, these websites on which they tell you about different salaries. Ask others, ask your professors, ask people on LinkedIn, that you're connected to.
Yeah, and Glassdoor.
Yeah.
Glassdoor is a really good resource, and if your specific company doesn't have that role salary listed, look at a competing company. Like if you're applying for a job at Uber and they don't have that salary, look at Lyft or look at something else in that.
Doesn't matter. I have a BSc in biology myself, and then I went on to do a master's in public health. So you need to get a master's. While you're doing that, you can always, try a nonprofit organization for a job with your BSc. But if you want to work in a major corporation, or even, climb the ladder even in a nonprofit organization, you really need a master's degree at least.
At least.
Regular raise should be 2 to 3% every year.
Okay, I think that's it.
Yeah.
Any other advice?
Yeah, it's always daunting when you're about to get a new job, and especially when you're just out of college, out of school. Make sure that you get your internships done. Try to even volunteer. Nonprofits are an excellent way of getting experience, especially in the public health domain. Be very clear about which area you want to work in within public health. Do you want to work for, something like the World Health Organization, a nonprofit, a consulting firm, or a corporation? Try and get a couple of business courses under your belt during your bachelor's. And then usually, you should try and get a master's degree, because that'll help you at the end. If you ask your professors for help within your universities, usually they know someone who's working in a corporation, and that's one way that you can try and do that.
Yeah, and a lot of professors in these fields actually do typically work in corporations as well.
Yeah. And you can try and work at the university too. Like when I first started working, I worked at the interdisciplinary unit within the university. We consulted for the pharmaceutical companies. And then when I finally decided to, work in the companies, my professor knew all of the key people in the key companies.
Okay. And what about like maybe certain events or things like that, like ISPOR? Can anyone go to ISPOR?
Yeah, as a student, you can go to ISPOR, so you can go to some professional society meetings. That's a great place to go. There are a lot of firms there. There's even, hiring booths where even students are hired for various internships and also for full-time jobs.
Okay. Thank you guys for listening. I hope we answered all of your questions. If you have more questions to ask or something follow-up, to any of these answers, then you can just shoot me a message and I'll send it to my mom, or send me an email. My email is in my bio. You can just send it there. Thank you guys. Bye.
Bye.